Hello and welcome to this Micro Studio demonstration for our fabulous Woolly Wibblers collection. These are so cute. The little characters are adorable. We've got some amazing embellishments on here. So I've got a couple of things to show you. Let's jump right into it and we'll get going. So you'll see here in Micro Studio, I've got the Woolly Wibblers files which I've downloaded into the program. In this one, we will find scene building, reflections and digi-stamps, just as you would expect with any of our In the Studio or Two Red Robins designs. We have the reflections, which will work perfectly with your dies. So you can see here, we can pop it onto the page and we can just print it out. As long as you don't change the size, this will work perfectly with the dies that you may have purchased. If you wanted to change the colours, you can actually do that by dropping into the effects and using the sliders. So if you wanted a tonal look to your designs, and you can also rainbow, so we've got a couple of different options on the colour changes as well. We can also make the images black and white if you wanted to. Gives you a totally different look, and whenever you keep the page the same size, the designs will fit your dies. So I'm just going to delete that one off the page. Let's have a look at a couple of the digi-stamps we've got on here as well. So you see we've got our knitted flowers. Really, really cute. We've got the detail in there as well. We've got the flower heads, which are absolutely gorgeous. Got some buttons on here. You can see it's a nice little button just there. Again, we can resize that. Actually, it looks like a cassette tape as well if you wanted to use it as that. It's called Creative License. And then we've also got our little characters on here as well. So these are our Wibblers. So you can see they've got their characteristic long legs. With the digi-stamps, if you did want to change the colour, because they don't have to be black outline images, we can change the colour. All we need to do is come down to the colour boost section first. Move any one of these sliders across to the right. So you see I've changed this image to red. And now when we go to the hue slider, we can actually change this particular image to any colour that we like. So it's as if you've got 360 different stamp ink pads in your computer. However, what we can do is we can also go to pastel tones, and we can also go to really rich dark jewel tones as well. So you've actually got thousands and thousands of different ink pads in here. And we can change the sliders at any point as well, so we can go all the way back to the red as well. So that shows you a little bit of the digi-stamps that we've got on here as well. So you have got the beautiful knitted wreath as well, which is absolutely glorious, really beautiful, and it's a fabulous design for actually if you're wanting to practice your shading. So you can see you've got all the detail on there, perfect for if you're wanting to use your the alcohol markers or maybe watercolour to get a different look, to actually get some shading detail into there as well. So we're going to focus on the scene building for this particular workshop. So what I'm going to do, I just want to show you a couple of things that we can actually do with Minecraft Studio that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do with the dies. So I'm actually going to pop this one onto the page. I love this particular character, she's so cute. First of all, you can see there I've resized her really quickly and easily. With Minecraft Studio, we can change the size, we can change the colours, we can personalise lots and lots of different things. To resize the image, all we do is pop our mouse over the corner box here, so we can see it changes to a double arrow. If we click and drag with our mouse, away from the image makes it bigger, towards the image makes it smaller. You can see we're working in centimetres at the moment, but down towards the bottom of the page we have an inches box. If we tick that one, you'll see that we're then working in inches, and it gives us really, really specific dimensions as well. If we wanted to be very, very specific, so you can see I've gone to 7.05 or 7.08 inches there. What we can actually do is come down to the bottom of the page. In the height box, we can click in there and I can put 7.5. So we're going to make this one 7.5 inches tall. And you can see there, she's actually that perfect size for us now. We can change the colours and everything of these images as well. So if I click onto effects, go back into the hue slider, you'll see that we can change the colour. And again, the hue slider changes everything in shades of red, shades of green, shades of pink. So that may or may not be the look that you're going for. We also have the rainbow slider, which will change the different colours within the image to different colours. So you can see they're kind of kaleidoscoping around the design there. So you get some really lovely effects. I love the denim blue on that one. Really, really lovely. But when we do that, all of the image changes in at the same time, so the skin tones change as well. So what I want to show you is a couple of little tricks that we can actually do. So if I go to our image tools section and click on the scissors tool, and you see the image fades out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click just here, and every click with my mouse is a snip with a pair of digital scissors. So I'm just going to go around the hat on this particular one. So you can see I'm just going around as if I'm snipping with my scissors, so we're actually fussy cutting in the graphics program. When I get back around to here, I can just come out and around because there's actually nothing around the edge of this image. I'm going to come here and I'm going to come quite away from the beginning, because when I get back to where I started, you'll see that my line changed from black to blue. So you can see it just changes there from black to a pale blue. And then that area that was highlighted red changes to blue, which means we've selected the area of the hat. So if I now select the copy button, we can keep the inner or keep the outer. That keeps everything inside or outside of the blue area. But I actually want to make a copy of that one. I want to right click and paste over the top of the design. And if I go to the layers tab, you'll see if I switch off the bottom layer, we've got just the hat. And if I switch off that one, it will look like nothing's happened because the hat is in exactly the same position, but we have got that hat on its own. So I'm going to click onto there, and you'll see that these boxes have now jumped to just around the piece that we've created. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come into the effects tab, and I'm going to come to my hue slider, and I'm going to move this slider along. And you'll see that now we can actually make the hat tone perfectly with the collar and skirt and the shoes on the character. But what we can also do is come all the way along here, and we'll see we're changing the colour of this hat without changing the colour of the rest of the character. And now we're actually matching the hat to the little heart purse that she's got there. I'm going to make it a little bit more pastel, add a little bit more pink into it with the saturation, and there you can see we've now got the pink hat matching the actual little heart-shaped handbag that she's got. What we can also do now is we can save this file. So I'm going to click on Save As, and I'm going to save it as Wibblers 1, and I'm going to save it as a Minecraft Studio project. So you can see there we've saved that. That means that we can come back in, we can edit the file, so we can actually change the colour, so it keeps these two layers separate. And you can see there, if I switch that one off, then the purple hat is there, the image is still complete. If I switch that one off, the pink hat is the one that we've got on the page. But what we can also do, if I just select everything that's on the page, that will actually grab hold of both of them. So you can see these boxes now are around both of these pieces. And if I group them, I'm just going to stretch this up so it fills the page as much as it can. And this is purely to save me cropping too much later. I'm going to go to my brushes tab, and I'm going to make the page transparent by clicking on the constants button, and then going to where it says transparent. This box has changed to a light purple, and I press set. So the white area has now disappeared. If we save this file as a PNG, and we call it Wibbler 1, and we save that, then what we can do now is I can put the page back to white. So again, click on the constants, change it to white. We can actually change the page to any of these colours in here. So if I click on the blue, you can see we can make the page blue if we wanted to. But we're going to go back to white. And then I'm just going to move this one over to one side. And remember, that's the one that we've grouped. And then if I go back to Files, I'm going to go up to Documents, which is where we've just saved her. And there is our one that we've just created. And this is one file. So this is all locked together as one file now. So you can see we've actually created our own unique image. All we need to do if we're wanting to make a backing paper with her is click on the crop button, click a single click over the top of the image and pull these edges in like so. So just pull them into the edge of the design, click OK, and then you can see we can actually start to play and make our own backing paper using that character. So there we've got the actual character ready for us to actually decoupage. So you can see you can shrink her back down again so she's suited to fit onto a whether it's a canvas or a scrapbook page or a greeting card or a gift tag that you're creating. But we've also got the backing paper that we've just created here quickly and simply. We can fade that down as well, so we've got a softer look, almost looks like we've printed on vellum when we've printed onto paper or card. And we can resize this tile as well if you think that that's a little bit too big for your project. Shrink that down, press the tile button again and pull it back out again. So we've actually created more. So there you can see how we can actually use the scissors to actually change the colour of a certain area of the design. So that gives us a lot more versatility with the designs, because you can actually, if you wanted to, you could actually cut around the head, the hair and the hands and copy and paste those and actually just change the colour of the whole outfit if you wanted to. lots and lots of different options with those particular features. Actually, I'm just going to save that file as well, just so that I've got it. So we'll save that one as a JPEG. We'll call that Wibblers2, just so that we've actually got the file that we've created. So we're going to create another background now, which is going to be slightly different. So we're going to use the flowers on this one. And back into the scene building folder, and we've got a couple of the different flowers in here. So we're going to use the flower heads. You can see we've got these here. I've got the different ones here. Really, really lovely. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just pop some of these onto the page. And I'm just going to pop those on there. I'm going to select all and group them. And then I'm going to copy and paste. So we're going to right click copy, right click paste. I'm just going to pop quite a lot of these onto the page. We can also press Ctrl and V on our keyboard, which will actually speed it up a little bit for you. So you can see I've just popped quite a few of these on the page now, and we're just going to position them in different orientations to make a backing paper for a project. So if I just rotate these ones around, put that one up there, put this one down here, you can see that we can just get really, really creative with the designs on here. Put that one there. Spin that one round so that we've not got the three of those together. Pop another one up there. Get the teal next to that one. Pop that there. And we're just literally popping these on quite randomly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ungroup this particular one. I'm going to start to pop some of these a bit more randomly. So I'm going to copy and paste that one, pop one there. We'll get that one. One down here, and copy and paste that one, pop one up there. So we're just creating a very, very unique design using the flowers. So put that one there, we'll move that purple one there. We'll go for a purple one just on the end of there, a teal one there. Yeah, go for a pink one in there. Just building the design, just nicely layering the different flowers into the different areas of the paper that we've got on here. And put a pink one there, and you can see I'm going quite random with where I'm actually positioning them. I'm not being particularly careful about where I've got the different colours next to each other because they all tone so beautifully together. And just bring this one into here. And then I'm just going to pop another pink one. That one, paste it over the top of that one. I'm just going to get rid of those two little ones down there. And then I'm going to select everything that's on the page again and group. And then I'm going to right click and copy, right click and paste. So I've actually got two of those on the page now. So I've just created a couple of areas of backing paper. I'm going to paste another one over the top. It will always paste it over the top of where you actually copied it. So if you are just pasting the same one, then you can see when I press Ctrl V to paste, it pastes it straight over the top of the top one, which is the one that we actually created originally. Just going to pop another one over just so that we can make sure we've got no white bits showing on there. Another one just there. Now you can see that looks really, really misshapen around the edges. Just pop another one down towards the bottom. But I'm not worried about that because when I save this as a file, so we'll see here, we're going to save this as a Micro Studio file. So I'll call it Wibbler Flowers. And the reason I'm calling it Wibbler Flowers is because then in my folder it will be in the same area as the ones that we've called Wibblers 1 and 2. And then I'm going to save it as a JPEG. So we're going to call it Wibbler Flowers again. I'm going to save it as a JPEG. And when I press this save button, you'll see that just for a split second, the area outside of the white page just disappears, just to give me a little snapshot of how it's actually going to look. See there? So that's actually saved as a JPEG now. So I'm going to close this page down. Yes, I want to close it. Click on New Page. And then I'm going to come up to our Documents folder, which is where I've saved the Wibbler Flowers. So there's my backing paper. So you can see there, this is the JPEG that we've just saved, and it just gives us that perfectly A4 sheet of paper, just a beautiful, beautiful backing paper. And then what I'm going to do is get a digital punch onto the page. I'm going to go with my circle shape, and we're going to stretch it across here and down here. So we're going to go for an oval, and I'm actually going to keep the outer. So not what we've done now is we've used a virtual punch rather than a physical paper punch to create an aperture in the center of this page. And you'll see it's an aperture because when I move it to the side, it actually is transparent and you can see the graphics program through it. So I'm going to pop that there, and we're going to go back to our artwork here in the Woolly Wibblers scene building. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to bring on the teal knitted wreath. So I'm going to pop this on here, and we're going to stretch it to actually cover that particular area that we just created. So we're just covering the aperture a little bit. You can see there we've just created a frame. What I want to do is soften the edges of this though, because at the moment it's looking very, very solid. So I'm going to go into the effects tab. We're going to come down to this area here where we've got the softer edges, and we're just going to fade this in a circle. So we're going to go with the circle because a circle will always go into an oval if the image that you have is in that orientation. So as I pull this over, you'll see that the edges start to actually fade. So they are fading into that background. So it almost looks blended into the background paper. So what I want to do now is add just a little bit of shape around these corners. And we can do that by adding a vignette. What I'm going to do is click on the black box next to vignette, use my color picker and select, I think I'm going to go with the lilac. So then that's the vignette colour selected. Go back to vignette, and we're going to go with the circle vignette. And then all I need to do once I've popped my vignette on there is click back on that box, click on the colour picker and select this little box here, which is the colour that we chose, and that vignette now matches perfectly. So you can see that the vignette has been chosen out of the colours within the backing paper. However, the vignette is solid at the moment, and I can't fade this vignette down because, if I can, if I fade the vignette down, it will also fade down the backing paper. So I've got a little trick for you here. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new page. We're going to go into our brushes, and we're going to go to constants, and we're going to go to transparent. And we're going to press set. And what we're going to do is we are going to save this empty page. So if I go to save as, I'm going to call it, we'll call it empty page. I'm going to save it as a PNG file. So click on save, and then I'm going to come back to this one here. So I'm actually going to fade down this background here a little bit. So just go into the effects, I'm just going to soften it down just a little bit. And come to the files, and I'm going to go back up to documents, and I'm going to bring on my empty page, which looks very, very strange because I have literally just brought on an A4 sized plain PNG file. But when I go to effects and go to the vignette and create this vignette, you'll see that we are creating the vignette on this top layer. So this is on the plain empty page layer. I'll pop that there, and now what we can do is we can actually reduce the opacity, and we can create a soft vignette around the file. So we can create it so it blends right into the center and actually blends over the top of this particular aperture. Or what we can do is we can just have it so it just softens the very corners of the design. So we've still got some of the vibrant colour in the center, or again we can just bring it in to this section here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to save this, and I'm going to save it as a Wibbler frame. I'm going to save it as a Micro Studio file, and then I'm going to make that transparent. So you can see there the centerpiece has actually gone transparent now. And then what we can do is save that as a PNG. So we're going to call that Wibbler frame. I'm going to click on save. And then when we go to a new page, what we can do now is go to files, And here we've got our Wibbler frame that we just created. So you can see there we've got this. But what we can do now is we can actually have this as a square frame with a circle aperture in the center, or we can keep it as the full page. We can also shrink it down to A5 for a smaller card. We can make it sort of a little bit more of a rectangle, but a little bit so it's kind of in a 7x5 kind of size. But actually what we're working with now is a solid image that has got all of these files locked together to create one particular element. So if I come now and go back to the actual files and go back to our scene building folder, I can grab one of the little Wibblers. I think I'm going to go with, let's have a look. I'm going to go with this one here. And if I just zoom into the page, pop her on here. So what we could do is we could pop her on there as a large image. So we can actually pop her as a main focal point and use this as a topper, add a sentiment into there. But what we can also do is if I pop her onto here, and I'm just going to shrink her down just a little bit, pop her onto here, I'm going to pop her down there, I'm going to zoom into the page a little bit, and I'm going to tuck her into this yarn. So where we're going to pop her now, so she's stood there, so we'll have her stood on this little bit here. So she's going to be stood on this particular strand of yarn here. I'm just going to tuck her inside this little bit here. So we're going to use, I'm going to fade her down just a little bit. You see I've faded her down so that I can see the path of the yarn through the image. And then I'm going to use my scissors tool, which means that I can come around this particular section here. And I've basically traced this line of the woolen frame. And I come back round to the beginning until the line changes to blue. And I'm going to keep the outer. So now when I take her back up to full size, she's actually tucked into the woolen frame there. So you can see she's actually, it's literally just as if she's kind of poking out from the frame and coming out of the aperture. So then you can see we can actually add some more flowers onto here if we wanted to. We've got these beautiful flowers on here. I love these ones with the hearts. So I'm going to pop a couple of these down in this corner here. So just pop one of those there, just around this side of the frame. And actually if I copy and paste another one of those and pop it up here, pop one up there, I'm just going to rotate it around a little bit. You can see we can actually, and then if I send that one backwards, it's going to go behind the one we just brought on. So the stem is actually going around there. If I then copy and paste this one, and we can rotate it around again. So if we come around this way, and again we're going to come a bit further around, and then we're going to send that one backwards. So go to order and send it backwards, so you can see it's just going to tuck underneath there. Then backwards, so it just tucks underneath that heart. And then we're going to copy and paste this one, bring it around here. Just going to pop it down there. And we're going to send this one backwards by a couple of layers because I want it to go back behind that heart on that layer, but also behind our little girl as well. So we're going to go order and send backwards. And there you can see, so she's now stood on this heart. She's tucked in between the stem of the flower and the woolen area. And we've just framed her really nicely on that particular frame there. So that shows you a few different ways of using the Woolly Wibblers collection. I hope you've learned something, and I can't wait to see what you actually create with these designs. They're absolutely beautiful. They're just so adorable. And if you have got the SVG files and the dies, then you can combine them all as well. So many projects, and the options are absolutely limitless with this particular collection. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this class, and I can't wait to see you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.